Hello? 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 If you can hear this, it's not too late. I've returned to warn you. This is Time Pop, a podcast that discusses time travel and pop culture. There are spoilers. I've seen the future, and nothing is sacred to these folks. Your past, present, and future are sure to be ruined. Even if you could go back in time, as I have, you will never forget what you are about to hear. You've been warned. This is Time Pop.
That's just like fetch. Well, I guess fetching Cody doesn't take you where you need to go. Never mind. I'm going to edit that out. That's a lie. Welcome, Chrononauts, as we guide you through the experience of time travel using pop culture as our choosy doozy. We will be your constants. I am Dez.
I'm Ari.
And this is Time Pop.
It's always different.
It is. I know. With this little bit of a delay, it's even harder.
Yeah.
I thought about recently, like, because I could easily sync us up in editing, but I'm like, nah, this is our reality. Our reality is on a half-second delay, so
It's on a lag.
let's let everyone else live in it too. Today, we are discussing Hot Tub Time Machine 2, released in 2015, 1 hour and 33 minutes, rated R, starring Rob Cordry, Craig Robinson, Clark Duke, new to the cast, Adam Scott, Jillian Jacobs, bunch of other great people, and of course, Chevy Chase. And this film was just full of faces that I know and love, but their names unfortunately don't mean a lot.
Yeah.
But if you watch this, it's a who's who of comedy.
So I just recently found out that my mother now knows of this podcast.
No way.
And she listened to her first episode just recently. So before this begins, Mom, this episode and movie, not so much for you. I would suggest going back and watching like Back to the Future or See You Yesterday, or if you want to watch something really twisted, maybe like Predestination. But I would skip this one. Thanks, Mom.
That's awesome. To moms everywhere.
Yeah.
Did she just stumble on it? Like, had you mentioned it in passing or anything? Or did she just...
Yeah. I think I mentioned it in passing, and she's like, oh, let me see what that is. And she's like, I listened to whatever the most recent one was released, but I haven't seen the movie. I was like, you got to see the movie first, Mom. Like, that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, what did we just release? I've been recording and editing so much. Oh, Fetching Cody.
Fetching Cody, yeah.
Oh, no. Yes. Ari's mom, please go back and just treat yourself to a great movie and then enjoy this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's still listening, but apparently my mom says she just likes to hear my voice sometimes.
Yeah, that's what she said. She's like, I like the banter you have with that guy.
I love being that guy.
That guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who this movie is. I mean, this is, I go for it.
Can I just say, I liked this movie. I thought it was funny.
It was. Unfortunately, I came at it from a time travel aspect, and
oh yeah, it's full of holes.
Well, not even holes. It's, a good portion of it's just a period piece. And
like a future period piece?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It doesn't stand out as much because it's in the future, but yeah, I don't know. I thought this movie was going to ring a few more bells. I thought when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah. But this is definitely one I watched late, probably after a few beers. And I don't know why. I thought there was more jumping around. I thought, it's the second one. They're going to really just jump into it. But I mean, they changed it up by going to the future, which is always good.
Yeah.
And then they do a bunch of kind of cool time travel stuff at the very end. But most of it's just future dick jokes.
Yeah, yes, lots of dick jokes. That's why it's maybe not appropriate for your elderly mother.
Yeah.
But to our listeners, you should definitely see the first one before you see this one because you will miss a lot of the jokes. And yeah, this movie is chock full of holes and makes no sense. But if you're, they do a lot of callbacks to other time travel movies.
Yeah.
I always like.
No, this is definitely a very fun movie. I would recommend getting some friends together and watching either hot tub time machine movies.
Yeah, I mean the first one's better, but I liked this one.
Yeah, I got a little bit worried. I treated myself to the unrated version.
Oh, I didn't do that.
I got a little bit worried because I got it because I thought it'd be, this will be nice, and maybe Ari and I can find a few things that are different. And then, I was going to watch it tonight, and then we were going to record tomorrow. And I was like, okay, now I got to watch it tonight, and I got groceries being delivered and all that stuff. And then, so I didn't think I was going to make it. Like I thought I was just about ready to text you and say, you know what, let's make it 10:30. And then it started to wrap up. And I was like, oh, crazy. And then now there's a bunch of outtakes at the end. They're doing a big making of montage at the end. So it looks like it's 2 hours long, but I think the movie itself is maybe 5 minutes longer tops. And then.
So the unrated version is just extra scenes at the end?
No, I think there's a few extra scenes in the middle of it, but it's just extended jokes.
Okay, yeah.
Which is why I got worried it was really going to carry on for no reason, because it's, where you could tell there's moments where they're just riffing, and then in the regular version they just take one of those jokes, but in the unrated version they loop all 3 or 4 jokes together.
Yeah, I just saw the regular one.
Ari's overview.
Get right into it.
Yeah, I don't know really what I need to talk about this movie, but I know we need to get into it before I start going off. So
even though this movie does take place mostly just in the future, there's a lot of aspects to it that are time travel and paradoxes. And I found a lot of holes, which is fun. I feel like I haven't talked about holes in a long time. Our past movies have not had a lot of them, or our most recent movies. So this movie takes place where the last one left off. It is in the changed present. So the guy Lou went back and discovered Lugal and became the lead singer of Motley Blue. And so in this start of this movie, he's a rich, famous person. He's still an asshole. And his company Lugal is failing. It is failing miserably because he shows up to a board meeting in a Speedo and an unbuttoned Hawaiian shirt. And he's telling his board meeting people, like, oh, it'll be fine. No worries. Do you need another idea? I'll give you another idea. Here's an idea. There's this thing called nitrotitanium.
Damn it, I had it. Nitrotitanium.
Is that what it is? Nitrotitanium? I don't know. I wrote it down phonetically.
Nitrotitanium.
Something like that. But for some reason, that didn't sound like the same thing from the first movie. I thought the first movie was like something else.
Well, it was inside the Chernobyl.
Oh, okay.
That was the drink.
Chernobyl was the drink. Okay.
Yes.
And that's going to come back around for a lot of my holes, is dealing with that nitrotitanium. So just kind of, he mentions this nonchalantly that, yeah, this nitrotitanium is for time travel. And so one of his scientists in his board meetings like, okay, and then that's the last of that scene.
Kumail Nanjiani.
Is that the actor?
Yes, that's another name worth mentioning. He's awesome.
He is awesome. He's actually going to be on Speechless.
No way!
The next Speechless show, yeah. He's good friends with one of the producers of Speechless show.
Oh, rad.
So you should come check it out. I think it's like only $5.
Where?
On the Zoom somewhere. I don't know.
That is awesome. I'm totally going to check that out.
Scott can tell you about it. Anyway, so then we witness at a big fancy party, Lou gets shot in the crotch by an unknown person. Then we see Jacob, which is Lou's son, and Nick, which is one of his good friends who was the record producer. They drag Lou through a secret door to a hot tub, which Lou stole from the first movie.
The hot tub.
the hot tub, and he says he stole time and that he's got a big old refrigerator full of nitro that he got from the Russians because he was going to build a bomb for them, but major hole there. We'll come back to that.
No, that's straight out of Back to the Future. That makes perfect sense.
Is that what they said? Oh yeah.
Gave him a shoddy oh, what's he say?
He said we got it from the Russians. We told him.
Damn, a shoddy shell casing mixed with pinball machine parts.
Is that from Back to the Future?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they said we got it from the Russians. We promised them we'd make a bomb. They've never seen Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, most definitely.
So then they're about to get in the hot tub, use the nitro to go back in time to save Lou's crotch. And Lou, apparently he can die from that. And Jacob, one of the guys, sees Adam's trench coat was on the floor next to the hot tub. How the hell do they know that that random trench coat is Adam's? By the way, Adam was the fourth guy of that group from the first movie, played by John Cusack. Thank you. How the heck does he know that that's Adam's trench coat? Big hole. Anyway, they use the time machine. They want to go back in time, but when they wake up, they're in the future. They are in the same bodies, so it's the same concept as you take over your past or future body. So they've aged and things are different. Oh yeah, they also don't have any memory.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, so they've gone into the future. We find out that it's been 10 years. They've gone 10 years into the future, but they don't have any memory of those 10 years.
Which is at least consistent.
At least consistent and very inconvenient. How would you function? Okay.
So now, I got the feeling watching the scene that they had used the time machine again. And they obviously didn't. I mean, we find out through the course of the movie, but when they were all getting in the hot tub to go back in time to save his crotch, did you get the sense that they had been using it here and there?
No.
You didn't? Huh.
No.
They knew how it worked so well, and it was just like, oh yeah, we got this. You do this, you set the time coordinates, you dump in the nitrotitanium, and
there were no time coordinates. You just dump it in, you get hammered, and when you wake up, you're supposedly in the past.
Well, but there weren't precise time coordinates, but he slid the bar to the past. Like they had a slider that took you to the future or took you to the past, and he slid it to the past.
Oh, I missed that.
Like Jacob really seemed to be using it as a like I thought they were going to get to the point where he and his uncle were using it all the time to go fix stuff. And obviously they haven't, but I was just wondering, and obviously you didn't get the sense from that scene. I mean, it wasn't like, okay, how did we do this? Or where do we go? Or God, I hope this works again. They were just like, yep, this is how this hot tub works.
I didn't get that sense. I'm sure it was just for the fluidity of the movie, but who knows? So they think they're going to the past, but they wake up and it's the future. It's 10 years in the future. They have no memory. They're in the same body. The house is slightly different, and Jacob is in charge. And Jacob realizes that it is an alternate universe, just like Fringe.
Are you a Fringe fan?
Oh my goodness. I got a lady boner when he mentioned Fringe. I'm obsessed with Fringe. Yes, I am a nerd.
Nerd. You're a fucking nerd.
Nobody likes you.
You're a nerd.
No, but you like me, right, Desmond?
I do. Well, it takes one to know one.
Yay. Okay. Huge fan of Fringe, so that made me very happy in the pan. So it is 2025. And the president of the United States is Neil Patrick Harris. I would totally vote for him.
Yes.
And then they realize, wait a minute, why is, Lou alive? If this is the future and Lou was dying, wouldn't he be dead? And then we get our little cameo from Chevy Chase.
Yes. Oh, this is the only time he shows up in this one, isn't it?
Yeah, he only shows up once.
Yeah.
And he says that the hot tub takes you where you need to go. And that's essentially all he says.
That's right. I totally forgot that. I just watched this movie and that line kind of fell out of my head. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's a very important.
Yeah. So even though apparently Jacob slid the little lever to the past, it did not work. The hot tub time machine took them 10 years into the future. And they talk about, well, we'll just travel back again. And Chevy Chase says time travel is not possible, and there's no nitro. Time travel does not exist yet. So time travel doesn't exist where they are currently. There's no nitro, and they say because nitro is from the future.
Yes.
So they're like, wait, huh? They're like, no, nitro hasn't been invented yet. It's from the future. And then so I wrote a big fat hole here. How did the Russians get it in the past for a drink, which they never addressed?
Maybe that gets addressed in Hot Tub Time Machine 3.
Oh boy.
When they're traveling all over the place, fixing,
Yeah.
messing up the past in all sorts of ways. It makes total sense that the Russians would have gotten their hands on it from all of their mischief they did.
So then they do a very funny quote, I thought, where they kind of figure it out and they're like, oh, nitro is from the future, and then it gets into the past, and they're like, just like Terminator. And they're like, it's always Terminator.
It's always Terminator. Yeah, it is.
Which is so funny because this movie is, I believe, so similar or more similar and intended to be just like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But they just keep bringing up Terminator. I thought it was fun. So then they do the good old draw a timeline, and then, this is our timeline, but now we're in an alternate timeline, and they draw the little skew with the parallel line, different timeline. And so then they realize somebody from the future, or where they are now, is going to go back in time and kill Lou. So they got to figure out who that person is. And they say, like Looper.
Yeah. Starring Bruce Willis.
So
I know we'll probably get into this later, but with the split timeline thing.
Yeah.
What do they say? I'm trying to remember. They say something about, well, no, because then we would go back in this timeline or something. I thought they addressed that a little bit because they wanted to go. I think they talked about, at one point, I thought they talked about going back and saving Lou. But then if they went in the past from this point, they would go in the past of this timeline, not saving the Lou that got shot in the wiener in what we'll just call timeline alpha, just for the sake of anything.
Yeah, they mentioned something like that, but I think it was in reference to that time travel doesn't exist yet. Like the nitro didn't exist, so they couldn't do that. So they just had to find out who was the person that would travel back eventually somehow. But they didn't know how at that point. They're like, someone is going to travel back. We don't know how, but we just got to figure out who it is.
That's right.
When they drew those lines and they're like, okay, so 2015 is, where the movie started, and now they're in 2025. But they took 2015 and they put it in their future of the timeline of 2025. And I'm just sitting there watching it. And I'm like, that makes no sense. So that other timeline's past is this new timeline's future. And that's why the nitro hasn't been invented, because we haven't gotten to this current present's future, which is the past timeline's past. Yeah, it's very confusing. I think they intended it to be confusing. It confused me, which is saying a lot. So good job, guys.
Yes.
High five.
High five.
High five. All right. So they try to find the killer. And then they're like, wait a minute, where's Adam? Adam is the John Cusack character that is not in this movie. And they're like, let's find him. And so they find him, but they end up finding his son, who is also named Adam, who is his bastard child that he knew nothing about.
Convenient,
yes.
Oh, yeah, because the ages wouldn't line up. Because, yeah, that would go before Hot Tub 1. So, yeah.
Yeah. So they're basically saying the high school sweetheart that he broke up with on that trip was pregnant, had a kid, never told him about it.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So Great White Buffalo.
Great White Buffalo.
All right. So they try to figure out who it's going to be. They thought it was one high school friend. It's not him.
Oh, that's right. Because at the very beginning, in the present, someone is pissed off at Lou because he was supposed to go on that trip. He says, I was supposed to go on that trip, and I waited, and they never came to get me. I don't know what the hell happened on that trip, but I was supposed to be on it, and I want a piece of the action. So now in the future, well, obviously it's this guy.
Yeah, so it turns out not to be that guy.
Even though he is well off, they think, again, for sure it's him, because he's doing great. So obviously he shot Lou in the wiener and then went on to do great things with Lou out of the way.
Right.
But like you said, not so.
So it's not that guy. Some shenanigans happen at a nightclub and some drugs.
So many shenanigans.
So many shenanigans. Lou sees his wife, his high school sweetheart, and they have since split. So in this 10 years, they have split. They got divorced. She's moved on. He's very upset about that, and he's learning all this information while they're in the hospital. And it's because he had no rock bottom. She was like, I got clean. We're done. Then we discover there's like a news bulletin that nitro was just invented by Brad. And Brad was one of the guys in the board meeting 10 years ago who heard the idea from Lou. So now it's been invented. It's a thing, which means time travel is a thing. So they're like, oh, it must have been Brad. So they go see Brad. It's not Brad, but Brad says, like, you know, he's.
No, it was Brad.
What?
It was Brad.
What was Brad?
Brad was the one that invented it.
Right.
Oh,
no,
I
I'm
thought
sorry.
you
No, the killer wasn't Brad.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
The shooter wasn't Brad.
So wait a minute. Does Brad know about the hot tub? Because nitrotitranium by itself is not a time travel serum.
No, but he said if you take nitrotitanium, mix it with some lukewarm water in a vessel, you'll have time travel.
Oh, so it's just the warm water.
Yeah.
All right, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Science, right?
I was hanging a clock. I fell, bumped my head. I saw a hot tub.
There you go. So it's the idea that he got from Lou 10 years earlier. So essentially, there's your bootstrap paradox.
Yes.
Meaning that it could not have existed if it didn't already exist in the past. Someone from the past who, yeah.
It's a boot sock paradox.
What?
Because Lou didn't travel back in time to... I mean, technically you're right, but I just want to unpack this just for the fun of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's because a bootstrap is when someone from the future goes to the past, gives him the idea, and then that person invents it, thus giving the man in the future the idea so he can then go back and plant the idea.
Right.
But Lou wasn't from the future.
Lou wasn't from the future. So in that timeline, time travel existed. When they traveled to the future, they jumped to a timeline where time travel did not exist. So then he gave the idea.
That's right. I'm thinking of Lou pulling up Brad's bootstraps, but it's not. It's Brad in a causal loop of his own bootstrap.
Yeah, it's tricky because we are bringing in alternate universes. Usually when you have a bootstrap paradox or a grandfather paradox, it's all within one timeline. So the fact that they're introducing a different alternate universe timeline, it kind of makes things tricky. So it's like in one timeline, time travel already existed. They're essentially merging two timelines together. But then when they travel to the future, they jump tracks to a different timeline where they say that in this timeline, time travel doesn't exist, but yet it gets information from the other timeline and then carries it forward. So then it does have time travel, but then the person from the future in the new timeline travels back to the old timeline and jumps tracks again. So they're really with your head with this, excuse my friend.
Yeah, and at one point I think someone says like there's infinite universes.
Yeah. So apparently with this time travel device, you can travel back or forth in time. You stay in your own body, but you can also jump universes.
I don't like that. I like the one or two alternate timelines. But when you incorporate infinite timelines, that really turns this into a cluster.
I feel like we've seen this before. I feel like we've seen an alpha timeline as you say, and then whenever they travel, there's like a beta and a delta and whatever timelines there are. But then whenever they need to like get back to the normal, they just go back to the alpha because that's convenient, for the story usually.
Well, because then they go back if you assert that the timeline shifts when you travel forward. Then if you travel before that point, there is still only one timeline.
Yeah, because when they traveled back in time, it was still the same timeline.
But if you do the Back to the Future, idea, which this movie is building on to some extent. If we travel back in time, we will travel back in time from this timeline, the timeline where Lou has died, or Lou, no. I'm not finishing that right. But the idea that you have to go back to where the timeline splits, or like Back to the Future, go into the future and find the piece of information to find where the timeline splits. Because if the timeline splits and then you travel back 20 years, you'll go back 20 years from the new wrong timeline.
Right. Is your brain melting yet?
It is.
This is why we do it.
Yes.
We love this for some reason.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So yeah, they are using bootstrap paradox as well as alternate universes and melding it together to make their story, which is fine. I feel like in Avengers Endgame, they did a little bit of that, where it was like an alpha timeline and then they traveled to other timelines, but then conveniently the story ended in alpha timeline. So there are definitely other movies that do this.
But that's another one where they make a very good point to go back to the moment where the timeline splits. They knew when they removed an item, that was the splitting. And so to go back and replace that item, which I guess this one kind of does, because they do return to the point. If the point of the split is getting shot in the wiener, then, or the moment after that, then they return to that split and rejoin.
Right. Okay. So back to the overview of this crazy stuff. So they figure out that Brad is not the one who travels back to shoot Lou. And while they're figuring this out, Lou, being the wonderful human being that he is, ends up having sex with Adam's fiance on the day of their wedding. A lot of things led up to her deciding to do that and the situation that allowed that, but Adam sees Lou fornicating with his fiance and he gets very mad.
All right, we're gonna explore. We're gonna assume most of you people have watched this.
Yes.
But I'm still gonna explain this to you. So they're in the future, and the four main characters, mostly Craig Robinson, since he is a failing music star, he's hit the top and he's come down. He has been picked to go on Choosy Doozy.
Oh, you want to explain this?
This explains why Lou has sex with his fiance.
Okay. Not exactly critical to the time travel story, but
it is.
Go for it.
It's so...
take it away, Desi. I'm just gonna sit back and watch this.
All right. So Choosy Doozy, in the future, entertainment has gone to hell.
Yes.
And Choosy Doozy is America's biggest show where they get, I guess whenever they can, they get celebrities on there to do weird stuff. And just like great improv, they give it to the crowd and the crowd shouts out stuff to do. And crowd starts shouting out, eat a bunch of waffles.
Juggle knives.
Juggle knives. And then, of course, Lou, being the a-hole that he is, says, have sex with a dude. And so they get all the Choosy Doozy options up there, and then everyone votes. And, of course, have sex with a dude wins. But as everybody knows, if you choose it, you do's it. So Lou, by the way, this show is hosted by Christian Slater. So Lou gets taken on stage. Since he chose it, he does it. So now Craig Robinson has to have sex with him in a weird virtual world. So they are, but they aren't. And then in the middle of this, a lifeline pops up and Lou hits the lifeline and he gets to pick a guy to take out with. And since Adam loves this show so much, Lou passes it off to Adam. And of course, it's the biggest show in America. So Adam's fiance is watching this, and Craig Robinson has sex with him on live television.
Virtually.
Virtually. They play around with that a lot. But so that happens. So this is why his wife, on the night of her wedding, is looking for something crazy to do, because she had a bachelorette party and they sat around and play dominoes or whatever, and she decides that she needs to go crazy one more time, and that's when Lou walks in, and he is just the guy to do something crazy with. So this is why Adam catches Lou having sex with his fiancée. Can you remember the relationship? They explain it in there. So he
Oh, I can't believe I'm having sex with my cousin's uncle's daughter's fiance or something.
something like that. Step fiance. I can't raise that question or whatever he says.
Yeah.
So that's a long way to go. It's a crazy part of the movie, but she doesn't just see Lou and decide to have sex with him. She's kind of getting back at her fiance, and she's kind of doing one last crazy thing before she gets married, and Adam catches them.
Right. So Lou has essentially created his own killer. Throughout the whole movie, nobody wanted to kill him until that moment when Adam saw him screwing his fiance. So Adam had heard Jacob and the other characters talking about time travel. So he gets the nitratronimum from Jacob and goes to use the hot tub to travel back to kill Lou. So yes, classic bootstrap paradox. So the main characters, they realize what's happening. They get to the hot tub, but it's too late. Adam has already traveled. So I'm guessing that is where he left his jacket that also looks like the other Adam. Yeah, that was silly. They didn't need that. Okay. So they're like, darn, that was my only vial. We can't go back and follow him because that they only made one and now it's been used.
No.
Major hole alert.
What?
There was only one vial and it got used. How did the Russians get more to put in their drink?
Well, I mean, that's kind of solved. I mean, this is solved through the Bill and Ted scenario.
Huh?
Where they're sitting there. So they make it very clear that this is the only vial because Brad just invented it. This is the only vial he has. But then while they're sitting there realizing like, oh no, he used the only vial. But now they're like, wait, it's been invented. Now our cooler is stocked.
Yeah, so Jacob realizes that nitro has been brought to the past, that therefore it exists in the future, their future where they're in now. So he goes to the fridge and opens it and it's there. But I'm still, it didn't exist in the past. It was used to bring you to the past. So technically it didn't exist. It was used up to bring you to the past. So how is there more and how did the Russians get it? And that's a big fat hairy hole.
No way, because now Brad just knows how to make it. So of course they're gonna make more.
But they're in the future.
This to me, this is solved. This still is solved in the montage that is setting up Hot Tub 3, which I know I keep saying that. Hot Tub 3 doesn't exist, but at the end of Hot Tub 2, they are going back in time so much.
Yeah.
There's no way the Russians don't get a hold of that.
I get that for the movie, for the purpose of the story, this is how it has to be. But I'm just letting you know, as the professional time travel expert that I clearly am, this is a hole. Anyway, moving forward. All right. So they open the fridge and yay, we have more. So then they go back. They stop Adam from shooting him in the crotch. Adam then bumps into his fiance or his soon-to-be fiance at the party where they just prevented the shooting. And then I wrote, so, question mark, he had to go into the past to meet his wife, but that's not how they met originally, which means now Adam is permanently in the past. And so he, question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, go ahead.
Then, so he's like, okay, we're here, this is how it's going to be. And they're like, yeah, wrap it up. Here's Lou's like final, you know what we got to do? We got to all be better. And he's going to go to rehab and clean up and it's going to be great. And then they're talking right by the hot tub and it like is on and there's like a vortex of spinning water behind him. He's like, we got to do this and I'm going to make things better. And then he gets shot in the head and there's another Lou. And then Lou's like, hey, we got to go make America happen. And then you know what they do? They fuck up history.
Well, wait, who shoots him in the head?
The Lou. I said that. Another Lou. Did I not say that?
Who shoots Lou? No.
Lou shoots Lou.
No. John Cusack shoots Lou.
No, it's Lou.
Where's John Cusack at?
He's not in this movie
Yes,
at all.
he is.
They can't afford him.
No, that was John Cusack.
That was Lou.
No, not in the war outfit. The guy right before it. He was wearing the trench coat. He looked like
You talking about the scene where he blows up his head?
Yes.
Yeah, that was another Lou. And Lou's like, don't you think there's multiple ones of you?
No.
That wasn't John Cusack. John Cusack could not make this movie, or could not.
They got Chevy Chase for a day. They got John Cusack for a day.
It was not John Cusack. Maybe in your version that you saw, it was not John Cusack.
Yes,
I just got confirmation from Scott.
Scott, shut your mouth. I'm fast forwarding it right now. I'm gonna watch this.
Okay, well, while he's watching that, so yeah, he gets blowed up by another Lou, and then they fuck history up. They're like, let's go back and save Lincoln, but oh, we left our cell phone there, and then they got to like sign the Declaration of Independence, and then they do all this funny stuff, and it's hilarious. I like this movie. The end. Oh yeah, and then they mention Fringe again. Fringe. If you haven't seen Fringe, watch Fringe. If you like time travel and science fiction, what?
Hold on.
What are you going to give me when I'm right? Should we bet something?
No, I can see him. This is John Cusack. It might, maybe you. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to turn your screen around, and you're going to see it.
Maybe in your version, in the long version, but in my version, it was not.
Oh, you just hang in there.
Oh, Des is mad now.
Oh, I am.
He's determined.
That's so crazy. If this wasn't in the regular version.
Anyway, this episode of Time Pop was brought to you by the.
Oh my
TV
God,
show.
my phone was right there. That's awesome.
You're messing up my sponsored by. Shh. This episode of Time Pop was brought to you by Fringe. If you haven't seen Fringe, you are not a nerd. Does that make sense? Because being a nerd is cool. Okay, what are we looking at? I can't see what I'm looking at. It's all like blurry, and this is on your phone, and there's subtitles. And okay, that was definitely not in my version. You saw the extended version.
No way.
Yeah, I saw like the regular version, and it's not Cusack. That's cool. Was it actually Cusack or like a lookalike?
That was actually Cusack.
That's way better.
That's crazy. All right, well, now I got to watch it real quick to see what he says, see if he says anything.
Okay, so now I would recommend seeing the extended version of this movie. If you're going to watch it, watch the extended version.
Okay, he says, all he does, he steps out. Adam says, Dad, what are you doing? No time to explain. Follow me. To where? Cincinnati.
That's not at all how I saw. I saw Lou saying we got to go make America happen.
And then Lou still does that. Lou steps out after John Cusack.
Oh, interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, different ending. Okay, neat. Did I cover all my holes? That makes more sense with the Adam's jacket then.
Yeah, that he was jumping around a little bit.
Yeah, why would Adam's jacket be there, but then he's not there? So that makes way more sense.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So worth it to see the extended version or the unrated version or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I'll have to look up what else was different then. I'm pretty sure everything else was just extended jokes.
I think I covered all my holes. That's what she said.
Thank you for listening to Time Pop. Brought to you by Sounds Awesome. Please like and subscribe and tell a neighbor or friend about it so you can share a discussion of your own on the topic of this movie. Please check us out on social media. We are at What Sounds Awesome on Facebook and Instagram, and at Sounds Awesome 2 on Twitter. You can email us directly with questions and comments at wesoundawesome@gmail.com. We would love to read your thoughts aloud on air, and definitely let us know about a movie you would like featured on a future episode. We have 3 great movie podcasts. Rotten Popcorn, where Scott and Des discuss films with vast differences between fans and critics based on Rotten Tomatoes aggregation. And Apocalypse Now, where Scott, Callum, and Des talk about apocalypse-ish movies about society going through a difficult situation, not unlike the one we are currently living through. Want to check out some non-movie related podcasts? Check out All the Answers. You have questions? The Record Keepers have answers? Cassidy and Katie have sassy comments? Who are the Record Keepers? You'll have to listen to find out. And our newest addition to the Sounds Awesome family, Truth Not Trends. Liam Bauer and Jesse Schmidt have a combined 35 years of strength training, and they are here to keep you strong, fit, and motivated through these difficult times. Please visit our website at whatsoundsawesome.com to find all these fine podcasts, or just search Sounds Awesome in your podcaster of choice to find these fine shows. Please rate and review. And now, back to the exciting conclusion of this episode.
Do you have any holes you want to explore?
Let's see. Holes. Well, to me, I think the laws in the holes are a little bit, well, I don't know if it's the laws in the holes, but just the way they travel within their body is still weird and undefined. And, you know, I think the biggest reason they do it is it just, if you don't do that, then you have to spend half of the movie dodging or looking for yourself.
Yeah.
And that becomes a major plot point, and this just wipes that out. But it's still just now in the ending montage, they're going back to before they're born.
True. Very true.
How the fuck does that happen? Now,
Yeah.
the time machine is much different at the end of it. It's a swirling vortex
that they just step into.
Yeah, so there's a good chance that they've managed to boost it somehow, make it different. But then but if that's true, then maybe now, even if you go into the future, well, even in the past, because in the first one they go to the past, but they still travel within their body.
So it makes you wonder what they look like if they go past their, when they were born.
Yeah.
Good question.
Maybe they're traveling within their lineage.
So they look like their ancestors?
Their great 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 grandpa or whoever was alive back then.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Could be.
It might. So I think we covered this. I'm just trying to think of the alternate timelines and just how this all works. Well, no, I guess they fuck it all up because at some point someone says there's infinite universes. So
yeah,
that just makes this way more holy. And I guess and then this is summed up. This is where Chevy Chase comes in, where it just takes you where you need to go. So none of this matters.
Yeah.
The time machine knows better than you do. It's cyclical.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Which would mean this is a loop, which it's not, right?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, is it now? Well, not if Adam stays in the past.
Yeah, if Adam stays in the past, I really don't think this is a loop. But here's the thing, if new Adam traveled into the past 10 years, wouldn't he be in his 10-year younger body?
Yes.
Why wasn't Adam in his 10-year younger body?
Well, he was. We just didn't see him in a mirror. I mean, he wasn't that old. He still would have been 20-something.
Okay.
So, it's not like his wife was 45 or anything. So.
Yeah. I think that they purposely did not mention how Adam and his fiance met so that they could have, be what it was. So, yeah. Cyclical. I don't think it was a loop, though.
Well, which means it's not cyclical either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how this could be. But since they're just traveling within their own bodies, it really isn't. So let's see. We already did the first one, so the basic question has been answered. I guess, would you want to travel? Would you want to take your consciousness 10 years into the future?
And be in myself in 10 years?
Yeah. With no memory, remember?
I don't think I would.
I don't think I would either.
I would for 3 hours just so I could see. No, but 10 years, I don't know, because I would, I'm a futurist. I want to know what the future is going to be like in 25, 50, 100 years. So 10 years to me is not that exciting. If I could do if I knew I'd still be alive in however many 50 years, I'd want to do it for 3 hours just so I could see how much the world has changed for 3 hours and then go back.
I guess I would, now that I think about it, how this movie's laid out, since you show up your brain shows up in the exact same form it leaves in.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking there's no way I'd want to do that and just get bombarded with 10 years of memories, but that's not a problem in this
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah, you don't have any memories.
So you really could just go hang out for a day or two and then come back.
Yeah, and if you were careful, the only thing you would know is what you wanted to know. Like, you wouldn't know about your life unless you wanted to know what happened. You'd know what you look like, and if you were missing a limb or something. But sometimes people don't want to know what their future is, right? Because then it won't happen.
Now, and this movie, I'm definitely going off the movie right now, so pardon me. Let's go back to Hot Tub 1, because that one's a little bit easier going into the past. I'm just trying to play with how time travel works in this universe. So you go in your past body for a couple of days. You show up. You kind of have memories since you've actually lived it. So you, in this sense, you sort of do have memories.
Yes.
What happens when you go back to the future is because you basically you're basically a pod person. Like, you basically take over your body for a while.
Yeah, you probably have memories of both. You have memories of the original and then memories of the do-over. When you go back to the future, hopefully not changing too much so that your present is the same as it was when you left. Is that what your question was? Was it a question? I'm confused.
I don't know. I'm confused too.
Stop confusing yourself.
I know. I just wanted to before, because this is a very unique time travel movie that I don't think we're going to run into this exact scenario again.
Yeah, it's original. That's why I like it a lot. And it's funny.
So you're in 1985. You're living your life. Your future self comes back and takes over your body, does a bunch of stuff, and then goes back to the future. What are you left with? Like, are you left with a 3-day blackout, or were you guys joined at that moment and won, and so you're still, even though you've basically been taken over by your future self, you still feel like you have agency?
So let's say that you did everything exactly the same and you changed nothing when you went back, then your consciousness just continues and it's as if nothing happened, right? Because you still have those memories. As soon as you're out of there, it's the same. It's like if you didn't go back at all. If you change something significant, then you are just continuing from that point and it's new memories and you don't know any different. I mean, you don't know any different anyway.
But with the memories, I mean, if when you go into your future self, you don't get those memories downloaded into you
until you get back, until you do it.
But the self you took over, are they gaining memories while you're controlling it?
Yeah, because you already did this.
No. But and you're right if it's identical, but it's not gonna be, and it wasn't in this movie. Either one didn't happen the way it happened in Timeline Alpha. Like, they showed up in their bodies and changed you. Like, Lou was basically a bum on the streets and now he's partying. So again, I'm gonna do this one more.
Okay, you take two.
I'm gonna do it one more time. We're gonna go to Hot Tub 1 just because I think it's a little bit easier to think of traveling back in time than forward in time for whatever reason.
Okay.
You're living in 1985. You go on a trip with your friends. Your future self takes over your body.
Yep.
Does a bunch of different stuff and then returns to the future. You're 1985. Do you have full conscious agent memories of the last 3 days?
Yes.
Okay. You're certainly not wrong, but I don't know if I believe that the way this movie is laid out,
So let me see if I get your question right. So for Hot Tub Time Machine 1, they went back and took over their younger selves and then had conversations about what they just did, right? So you took over the consciousness and then had a conversation about, we just took over, we look like we did when we were younger, we have to do this again. So your question is, what happens when that consciousness then goes back to the future? Your 21-year-old self, do they remember having the conversation with your friend about how we just took over your younger self? That's your question? Okay. That is a very good question, which the answer to it would be, I don't know.
Damn it, Ari.
Well, okay.
Get your calculator out.
So,
Well, you even made a bigger point, the fact that you would actually be talking about time travel.
yeah.
So then when your body leaves and you're sitting there and you're just like, I guess time travel exists because for the past 3 days, I've been talking with my friends about how we came from 2005 and how we have to do all this different shit to fix our future. Like, that would fuck you up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue that it is a different alternate timeline, and that when you do travel back to the future, you're jumping back to the alpha timeline, so it's a completely separate consciousness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and unless you change something drastically, that alpha timeline is the same and you don't have any of those memories because you didn't really change anything. But once you do change something, technically, then if you're going that route, it's a whole nother alternate timeline permanently, a new alpha timeline.
Yep.
High five.
High five.
High five.
Awesome. Multiple universes because you're frying brains and you got to get this new universe back on track because otherwise...
Fringe.
It's all Fringe.
Just go watch Fringe.
Someone out there, tell me the answer.
I want Charles. Charles, you've been great. Let us know about this one, Sir Charles.
Charles?
Yeah, Charles, our buddy Charles.
All right. Thanks, Charles. Mom, I hope you enjoyed this. I think Hot Tub 2 is a laugh riot. And I think this is a great,
No,
No,
Mom, don't listen to this one, please.
I am very satisfied. I was really worried going into this. They're like, well, we cracked all this open in Hot Tub 1. Like, this is a funny movie and we'll add a little bit to Hot Tub 1. But we dug a whole new hole and really got cozy.
I like these movies. I think they're funny and I think they're entertaining and they have time travel. I like both these movies.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to watch this one again and just enjoy it. I definitely was like, for good reason, ready to really take in some time travel stuff. And it does obviously have some interesting stuff because we talked a lot about it. But it's also just a good, funny romp that I'm excited to enjoy. Until next time, I am Desmond McNeese.
And I am Ariel Galah. And this is where I say bye.
And tell him John Cusack is in Hot Tub Time Machine 2.